Microphone. Great. Hey guys, how you doing? All righty. So what we're going to do is, since we're talking about elevator pitches, we're all going to go in groups of 5 into the elevator. And we're going to be pitching each other. We've actually done that before, and it's quite fun. All right, let me kick it off. I want to hear 2 or 3 sentence pitches from companies represented here in the room. Just 2 or 3 sentences. I want to hear you just, 2 or 3 lines about what your company is. May, do we have a volunteer? Yes. A forced volunteer. Stand up, stand up, stand up. Name and pitch, please.
My name is Megan Hooper. I run a women's community website called BeSmartGuide.com. It features curated content, interactive question and answers, and spotlights on your business and brands, ultimately giving women the advice you wish someone had given you about job, love, money, health and beauty, style.
And what is it called?
BeSmartGuide.com.
Great, thank you. And let me just ask the audience now, just based on hearing that quick pitch, what are some questions you would have for Megan, just based on hearing that quick pitch? What questions would you have? What ideas would you have? Any thoughts on Be Smart Guide? Please. Your name, please.
Adriana Kurtzer, what's your target audience in terms of age and demographic?
Good question, target audience. Other questions?
I would ask, what's the business model?
Good. Okay, good. Let's hear another pitch. Forced volunteer? Okay. Name and
Hi, Karan Proshan. My company is Truth Art Beauty. It's an online, all-natural skincare company. So on our website, you can actually choose organic, all-natural ingredients to create your own personalized skincare blend. We then make the product fresh and send it to you.
Excellent. Truth Art Beauty, what questions come to mind? You hear that pitch, Truth Art Beauty, online, customized skincare. What questions?
Is it for all women of color? Do you have every shade?
So demographics, who's it for? Who's the target audience? Good question. Other questions that come to mind based on hearing that quick pitch? Quick pitch? Other questions? Cost, right? What's the pricing on the site? How does it compare to a department store or other kinds of spas and things like that? So pricing and pricing models would be another kind of question that people would have. Good. All right. Debbie, can I see you pitch a company?
My name is Deborah Bereviches, and I'm a physicist turned science communicator. I produce TV shows in which I explore the art of asking questions about the world that surrounds us, and I get children and especially women inspired about physics in their everyday lives.
Great. So it's a show, it's YouTube, it's on TV, and it's all about science and women and all kinds of new things, science in everyday lives. Questions and ideas that would come up based on that. Your name?
Oh, my name is Enyone. What's the name of your show?
There's 2 shows. One with National Geographic called Humanly Impossible, and the one with Discovery Channel is called You've Been Warned, which is out.
Good. Other questions that come to mind about a show? Please, Sharon.
What age group?
What age group? So those are all good questions that come out from that. Is Dee around? Where's Dee? Let's hear the pitch of We itself. We, the company. We. And then we're going to hear from Sebastian.
We is an annual women's empowerment conference. We create a platform for this generation's women leaders to empower and inspire the next generation.
Excellent. Great. Sebastian? So what you've heard is some really good succinct pitches. Notice that some of the questions that come up are quite similar. Who's the demographic? So one thing you might want to think about in even your 3-sentence pitches, who you're targeting, who you're going after. It's often a question that people come up with when they're listening to your pitch. First off, before we even get into some mechanics and specifics about pitching, always be ready to pitch. Always be ready to pitch. Now more than ever, pitching has changed dramatically in the last year and a half. Why is that? Pitching typically 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago in the 90s, in the heydays of the first .com era, all that stuff, pitching was quite formal. We walked into conference rooms. We had lots of people around the room. We'd get up in the room. We'd pitch. There'd be questions from the senior people, from the analysts, so on and so forth. There'd be follow-up meetings, 5, 6 meetings, so on and so forth. Karen Klein is over here. She's from SoftBank previously. She knows that very well from her previous experience before Bloomberg. And today, though, that has really, really changed dramatically. And now, the funny thing about the internet is it was supposed to remove all person-to-person contact, right? We're supposed to now be in our cubicles or be at home and just telecommute in and talk to people over Skype and things like that. Yet the reality is that most of us in this room are at more and more gatherings every single year because the internet allows us to come together to find our various people who share the same interests as we do in settings like this. And so we always have to be ready to pitch because you never know who you're going to sit next to, somebody who might be interested in the kind of thing that you're doing. You're on an airplane, you're sitting next to someone randomly, and sure enough, they have an interest in what you're doing. Maybe they're not an investor. When we say pitch, by the way, the pitch we're talking about here today is not just for investment, but for partnership, for advice, for interest. And so there's a lot of reasons to share your story, and you want to share it in the best way possible. And so one of the things that's really changed is the format. Pitching used to be really all about PowerPoint, getting your PowerPoint ready, getting your laptop, plugging it in, standing up, so on and so forth. First slide, please. Thank you. But more and more, what I tend to do, a lot of entrepreneurs tend to do today, is be ready with these kinds of tools. So what I do on my iPad, I don't have a PowerPoint on the iPad. What I do is I just have screenshots. And pop in here. So just go to Photos. I create a separate album in my iPad, and I just flow through the screenshots. Because it's very, very unnerving and really awkward to be sitting next to somebody in a conference and say, oh, tell me about your startup. Oh, yeah, let me whip out my laptop and my PowerPoint and give you a whole pitch in my PowerPoint. That just doesn't work. But it's more informal, it's more casual, just to bring out your iPad, flip through a few screenshots and say, yeah, here's what my screenshots look like. Now, it doesn't have to be a digital startup. It could be screenshots of your e-commerce, what you're doing, how you sell your product, pictures of your product, pictures of the flyers, the marketing that you're going to have, maybe pictures of your demographic. We had a question here about, who's the target market? Show your target market. Show it. Make it real. And so having something that's very casual, something that's you can just flip through like this, that forms a better bond and allows you to have an easier conversation than saying, okay, you sit over there, I'm going to stand over here. We're going to have a laptop and a PowerPoint and things like that. And then, of course, the screens are getting bigger and bigger, iPhone 5s, all kinds of other devices and things like that, and you can also have it ready on this. The thing also to remember is to always bring your own internet, bring your own web, because I've seen so many pitches go wrong when the entrepreneur sits down and they think there's Wi-Fi because you're in a hotel lobby or you're in a conference room of an office or things like that, and it's not working, you can't connect, and the entrepreneur gets all flustered and where's the internet, so on and so forth. The great thing about these devices today is that not only do they have internet themselves, they can form your hotspot for everything else that you have. So this right now can be the hotspot for my iPad, and Toshiba, my iPad, can be the hotspot for everything else. So make sure your internet is set up on your own devices so you don't have to rely upon where you're going next. And so, again, always be ready to pitch. You really never know who's going to be sitting next to you, who's going, what's happening. And again, all these different gatherings that are happening right now, those are really the 80% opportunities. Yes, there's still 10, 20% where you're going to go into a conference room, go to venture capitalists, things like that. But right now, because of the plethora of angels, the plethora of people willing to give you $50K, $100K, $500K to really get you going, really that's going to be the always pitch. That's actually going to be more common today than the traditional VC pitch. Any questions about that? Okay, please.
What are you using on your phone? What are you using on your phone? What kind of programming or whatever?
What I generally do is just put a kind of a photo slideshow together. And so on the phone, I don't bring PowerPoint or anything like that. Just put a couple of images together, and I scroll through it in my photo album just to kind of give them a sense of what the things look like, make it a little more tangible.
And the same on the iPad?
Same on the iPad as well. Let's have the next slide. So what part of the brain are we going for? Crazily enough, in my first life, my first career, I was a brain scientist. And one of the things that we often miss when we think about the brain is we either go for one part of the brain or another part of the brain. And very often, if we're data focused and we're very focused on exactly what data drives our business, and this is the opportunity. We have a 20% potential market share. We have this, this, and this, so on and so forth. There are investors who want to hear that, and that's great. You can definitely hit them with all those stats. But then how about the story side of your startup? How about the other side of your startup? The fact is, how are people going to use it? How are people going to use this new cream or different kinds of oils and things like that for their face and feel better about themselves? What's the story side of that? And what I find with a lot of entrepreneurs is they focus on one or the other, but not really include both. And what the brain does is the brain really likes to get activated on all different parts. One part I really, not to forget is, slide please, is the limbic system. So what does the limbic system do? Any ideas? Limbic system? Limbic? Okay. Limbic system, please. Yeah. Very, very emotional. A very, very ancient part of the brain. So limbic system goes way, way back. If you go to other kinds of mammals and birds and all kinds of other stuff, you find they have the same basic limbic system that we do. It's very, very primitive. Love and lust and anger and things like that, it's all in there. And that's actually very, very important in pitching, because pitching is not just about the higher cerebrum. It's not just about, oh, here are some facts and numbers, and I want to just tell you those numbers. It's also about these deeper emotions that people say, you know what, I'm really, really excited about that. One of my current startups that I just recently pitched, we raised a bunch of money for, has to do with music. And so one of the folks I was speaking to in the angel round just has a deep, deep passion for music, and his son has a deep passion for music. His son plays the guitar, things like that, and what he realized is that if he gets involved with us, he can get involved with our music, and also his son can be involved with us as part of our panel of young people that we can, test our product with and against and things like that. So the fact of getting the emotional side in as well as the data side is really, really important. Any questions about all that? Okay, good, please. So let's talk about angels and then VCs. Angels and VCs. Has anyone here pitched angels? Who here has pitched an angel? Anyone here? What experience did you have pitching an angel?
You have to do a lot of research beforehand. You have to know exactly what they like, what they invest in, what their career is, all of that.
Good. Experiences pitching angels?
They're lovely people, but they're very impatient. You have to get to the point, and then when they're ready to get to the next point, you have to pivot and get to that point.
Right. Good. Other? Karen?
The only thing I'd add is that there's no standard angel. I mean, I come out of being a venture capitalist, and so I worked really closely with the angels, and there's such variety, especially with the internet and technology making a number of people very wealthy. So I agree with the last point, and you almost have to be very flexible and adapt to the person that you're speaking with, because there's no cookie cutter angel.
Good.
Sometimes you just want to invest in you because they like you and they believe in you, and you don't even realize you're pitching to them. They'll just tell you, surprisingly, that they would like to invest.
So often the angel came from a personal connection, and they want to be with you because of that personal connection and feel that they can invest in you personally rather than knowing the concept per se. Great. Excellent. Okay, good. Let's hear another pitch now. Lisa, do you want to come up and you have a new company. Okay. Let's hear your pitch. Yeah, come here. Join us up here. Your name and...
Hi, I'm Lisa Anderson. I'm founder and CEO of a company called Workit.com. We're not yet launched. WERQET for future reference. Sorry. And essentially what we're doing is we're creating a platform that allows people to take the social networks that they've already built, their LinkedIn, their Facebook, whatever social network you've built, and activate that network proactively to put it to work for you. So it innovates along the lines of where social media is going. Today it's been all about building and discovering networks, and now it's about putting that network to work for you, hence the Workit. It fills a couple of gaps in the current landscape. One, even though we're all very active in social media, we're still doing a couple of things very inefficiently with proactive introductions. You're still getting emails, so-and-so meet so-and-so, CC, B to CC, moving to BC, all these sort of weird clunky things, and it's one-on-one, it's not at scale, and it's not happening inside the platform. We then sort of leave our email client, and then we go to LinkedIn and look up those same people. Second thing is that there's not an easy way to put someone on a mission for you. So, for example, asking you to introduce me to someone that I've seen on your LinkedIn is different from creating an incentive for you to go out and help me find that person. And so the platform is about creating this catalyst and creating a social currency about putting you to work for me.
So let me ask you a question. How do you plan to let people know about this startup? How do you plan to scale, get millions of people on it?
So the strategy is primarily a viral one. So the business model and the financial models are built primarily around viral, although after we get to a certain point, in the second or third year, we'll start to do a lot more of direct marketing. And it's very much going to be word of mouth and getting people to sort of send missions to their friends and ask their friends to help them for a particular mission. So a mission could be find a date, find a co-founder, find an investor, find an inspirational speaker, find a mentor. And as people ask all of their people in their network to do different things for them, they will be introduced to the platform. And it sits on top of the existing platforms. So it's API driven, so it sits on top of LinkedIn and Facebook. So no one has to recreate the wheel. They basically leverage what they already have and send these missions to everyone in their network. And that way it becomes viral and it scales that way.
Excellent. Have applause for Lisa. Thank you. Good. Let's have the next slide as well. So what you hear in the pitch is that she's trying to get across exactly what she's, her startup is. It's hard sometimes. Okay, good. Yeah. And let's actually go to the next one as well. So you want to make sure the passion comes through. You want to make sure that people get the sense that this is something you're really, really passionate about. You are 100% committed to. This is what you're doing. This is what you're up to. Let's have the next slide as well. And let's talk about Nexi the robot. So Lisa was standing in that case, so it's actually easier to pitch sometimes when you're standing. When you're sitting, a lot of times we get into some bad habits. So I'll just demonstrate a couple of different things. This is a study that was just published about 5 days ago, and it's a result of about 3 years of analysis. And what they did was they said, all right, let's have people meet another person and test later how trustworthy they believe that person is. Then let's have people meet this robot, Nexi, and tell us how trustworthy the robot is. And what they found, and you can look it up online, you can check it out, what they found was that there are 4 or 5 body signals that signal to the other person that I'm not sure I can trust this person. And some of them are quite obvious and some are not quite as obvious. So one is leaning back. One is the lean back. And if you're leaning back too far back, there's a implicit signal to the other person of lack of interest, lack of connection, and perhaps lack of authenticity. And they found this both with the robots and the humans. The second one, pretty obvious, is crossed arms, right? You don't want to have crossed arms, in the pitch itself. That's really a bad signal. But not so obvious is clasping your hands or touching your face. So clasping of hands is something that a lot of us do when we're nervous, right? We're in a job interview or you're in a pitch and you clasp your hands or you put them together, things like that. That's a signal to the person that I'm not sure I can trust you. And you could read the analysis of why evolutionarily that might have happened. And also even just putting the hands together and then touching the face. So these are things to kind of be aware of. And you can see the robot doing it online and in the videos, and you can see how the people react when the robot is doing this and when the humans do it as well. So we've now verified through a lot of different kinds of analysis that body language is super, super important, and you can kind of glean this stuff from that body language. Inside the pitch itself, it's really important to maintain your composure. A lot of times the person you're pitching to, the VC or the angel, is going to start peppering with all kinds of questions. Let's have the next slide. I don't know if we have some of those questions. Here's some of the questions that people... Walking into a meeting, here's the thing to kind of realize about pitching. Yes, they're listening to you, but at the same time, they have some preconceived notions of questions they're walking into the pitch with that you cannot really get them out of easily. And so typically, if they hear that you have a pitch around a social media company or a skincare company or different kinds of companies out there, they're going to have in their mind, why is this better than this other product that already exists out there? And they're going to walk in with that, and they're going to ask you about it. No matter what you say, they're going to ask you, why is this better than that? And so that's one of the things you want to be prepared for. Are you committed? If they say, are you in this 100%, the only right answer is yes. If you're not prepared to respond with yes, don't have the meeting. Don't have the meeting. Does this scale? Who else is in? They want to know who else you've pitched to, who else is involved, and we can talk later about how to get involved in that. So those are some of the key questions to have in terms of thinking about. Finally, in terms of follow-up, make sure you end the meeting. Don't wait for them to end the meeting. Don't wait for them to say, oh, this was great, I'm in, I'm going to write a check today, I'm writing a check this minute, things like that. It's better for you to end the meeting and say, thank you very much for your time, it was great to talk to you, fantastic, and let's follow up. And if they say after that, I have a couple of things I want to follow up with you on, send me X, Y, and Z, that's great. And then you can follow up with that and then ask them a week or so later, hey, are you in? Are you involved? Because we're actually going to close the round right now. A lot of mistakes that entrepreneurs make is asking for the money right there in the meeting. And that's really difficult to do. 99% of the case, that's not going to happen. So it's better that you take control, end the meeting, and then move on from there. Great.
Before you follow up?
I would definitely send your one-pager. A lot of people send huge amounts of data and things like that. Send your one-pager, send a very short PowerPoint deck, maybe within 2 or 3 days, and then follow up within 3 to 5 days after that, and then see if they're interested in doing so. That leads to a successful outcome, usually speaking. But don't ask for the pitch, don't ask for the money right inside the meeting itself. Other questions?
How long is that PowerPoint pitch?
I would keep it to under 10 slides. Preferably a one-pager, maybe two-sided one-pager with all the data that you have. We're really beyond the point these days of having 25-page business plans and all kinds of things like that. There are some people who still want that, but 99% of people don't have the time to read it, don't want to read that, just want to see your one-pager, your 10 slides, and an Excel spreadsheet. Excel spreadsheet's also been very, very helpful. And bring that spreadsheet to the meeting because often they want to see the financial model as well. Good. I'm around later for more questions. Thank you very much. Great to talk to you guys, girls today, and see you soon.